How do you top your love for your cat? With a cascade of decadent savory gravy over a mouth-watering mousse pâté. Fancy Feast gems. 2 gourmet pâtés in one convenient pack. Simply peel and plate to reveal a pyramid shape that makes eating delightful and pamper her with an experience as extraordinary as she is. Turn the everyday into the extraordinary with Fancy Feast gems.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for this day.
Finish training for the day? Time to fight post-workout fatigue with Core Power Protein Shakes. They're packed with 26 grams of high-quality protein to build muscle and electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to help your body replenish, rebuild, and repair post-workout so you can power on to the next one. Champion your recovery with Core Power. Visit corepower.com to learn more.
Tom, what is a food you can identify even with a blindfold or like a sensory deprivation chamber?
Cinnamon. From an early age, my mom always made me cinnamon toast. The smell of cinnamon is one of my first smell memories. And so I think it's just lodged in my brain as like a superpower.
For me, it is cilantro. It will activate the gag reflex. This is Pack Your Knives. I'm Kevin Arnovitz.
And I'm Tom Haberstroh.
Tom, and then there were 4. We have whittled our field down for the finale. We have our final 4. What say you?
I loved this episode. I thought there were great, classic, epic, amazing faces from Tom Colicchio. We got Savannah, who has come through as one of the best late bloomers of Top Chef history. And I gotta say, Kevin, one of the most fun contestants we've had who seems to really enjoy Top Chef and all of its trappings and all of the, little curveballs that they throw in. She has this energy about her that I gravitate towards. I love watching her compete. And she really, sometimes you need to sell Top Chef a little bit, just like really lean into the festivities of it. And she is doing that in spades. She's really embodying what this show is all about and the surprise and the excitement. And I love a blind taste test. So I loved this episode, and I think we got some really good theatrics at the end. And Kevin, we'll get to it, but I know you are so excited about a cruise.
Oh.
The finale on a cruise ship.
Lord have mercy. I think I would just relinquish my finale ticket. Can you imagine being trapped on a damn boat like that? Everything that needs to be written about this was written in 1995 by David Foster Wallace in, I believe it was Harper's, a supposedly fun thing I'll never do again. Yeah, I can't believe they would sentence everybody to a cruise.
Sentence? Come on, Kevin. Come on. It's the finale. We're going on a cruise ship. Oh, man, I immediately thought of you, Kevin. I knew you were just...
In Curacao, which is sort of interesting because, look, I think Caribbean cuisine obviously is delicious. I don't think the Dutch colonialists gave much to the culinary tradition. I think fried meatballs in waffles.
But what were the tax credits that Curacao could give?
And tax credits. And Andrew Jones.
Yeah.
And Andrew Jones.
As you wear your Braves hat, you're watching the Chris Sale, former Red Sox, traded for Vaughn Grisham, who is he related to Marquise Grissom? I don't know.
I do not know.
We got a nice little shortstop prospect in that trade. But Kevin, I gotta say, this episode, when they busted out the blind taste test, I was super excited. I love this.
You have always loved, this is your quickfire standard. This is, for you, everything else is inferior. You love yourself a blind taste test.
We had, of course, Paul Bartoloma, who comes back. I was a little confused. We usually get Tom and Gail for the quickfire. They were not there for the kind of festivities, but they were there for the judges' table because, of course, there's going to be a quickfire incorporated into the, as we keep talking about, something that is a little wrinkle in Top Chef this season, that the quickfire will be applied to, or at least incorporated into the elimination challenge. If you're in the bottom three, if you're in the top three, there's no boost for winning the quickfire or anything like that. But we do have lots of cash on the line. So the blind taste test, when Kristen Kish did a pun, she said, "Do you sense what we're about to do for our quickfire?" or something like that. And the only one who seemed to really figure it out was Savannah, who's got this like Buddha Low-esque Top Chefology, background to her, where she seems like she's a scholar. She understands it. However, she admits that she did not kind of do a blind taste test prep, which is a little surprising. She knew that it was going to come, and she wasn't doing these little warm-ups in the back of her kitchen in Durham, North Carolina, doing blind taste tests. And it seemed like maybe she should have, because she did not perform as well as I thought she would. That was my number one pick if I was going to draft the five contestants here, Kevin. When they did the blind taste test reveal, did you have a sort of power rankings of remaining chefs that you thought would do really well in this?
I thought maybe Laura, just because, there are kind of various culinary traditions there. She does a lot of sort of Eastern Mediterranean, Caucasus, that part of the world. She grew up in Mexico. She has cooked in San Francisco, in a North African place. Like there are, to the extent that the various items represent a full spectrum of culinary traditions. Like, I figured Laura was well positioned and she would have been my choice.
Yeah, I think that would have been my choice too. But then you got the enthusiastic Savannah, who is coming out firing and saying, I got this. I'm going to win this. 5 minutes, Kevin, 26 ingredients or foods. That's a lot. How do you feel you would perform on this?
I don't know. I think it's one of those things where it looks easier than it is.
Has to be.
Because I'm just marveling at Dan's inability to recognize anchovy, which is just so specific, or for that matter, jalapenos or nutmeg to me, yes, which is so specific, to say nothing of okra, though he might not cook a lot with it. But I don't know. I think I do comparatively well, but it's hard to say. But can we just talk about Manny for a second? Tom, 23 out of 26. Has anyone in the history of the show ever performed like that?
I can't imagine. That's absurd. And not just 23 out of 26. I actually tracked this, Kevin. I took a screen grab of the little trays that they showed, and I started taking notes and created my own grid, a little matrix of all of their results. And the amazing thing here is he did 20 in a row. The first 20 he got in a row. So anchovy, bacon, cheddar, dill, edamame.
But I don't think they did it in alphabetical order.
You don't think so?
No. I think they mixed them around.
I think they did it alphabetically because they were like, did you sense a theme of how we did it? And they were like, oh, no, what was it? And they're like, we did it alphabetical, anchovy to za'atar. And they're like, oh, how did I not figure that out? I think they did it alphabetically.
They did actually administer it. Okay, I thought it was like they just picked up something at random off their little dish.
Maybe because they were saying next. So maybe they were handed the dish or the little cup. Either way, 23 out of 26. And going alphabetically, he got anchovy, bacon, cheddar, dill, edamame, flank steak, gooseberries, horseradish, Italian parsley, which, by the way, is that a derivative of multiple kinds of parsley?
No. Oftentimes, cilantro is referred to as Chinese parsley.
Got it. Right. I was going to say, I don't know if I would have gotten parsley because I might have been like, ooh, is that cilantro? Can't really tell. Jalapenos, surprisingly, only 3 out of the 5 contestants got it. Savannah and Dan did not. But of course, Manny did. Kalamata olives, lemongrass, mussels, nutmeg, okra, pork chop, and Danny, because of his religious culinary avoidance of pork, he didn't do bacon. He instead had blueberries, and instead of pork chop, he had pistachios, another P there. Quinoa, rosemary, salmon, tofu, umabashi. I don't think I would have gotten that. Vudavon, watermelon XO sauce, yuzu, and za'atar. So 26 ingredients. Kevin, Do you want to know which ones were the perfect 5 of 5 across the board? I can tell you right now what were the quote unquote easiest.
Tell me which ingredients were guessed by all 5.
Cheddar, 5 out of 5. We also had parsley, 5 out of 5. The beef flank steak, I guess I think they allowed beef. They didn't have to say flank steak. Those 3, cheddar, flank steak, and parsley was 5 out of 5. Were there others that you thought were surprising, not 5 out of 5s?
No, I'm still marveling at Manny. Like, Tom, we're burying the lead here. This guy is a savant. I mean, he hasn't cooked a decent meal in 11 weeks, but damn. There are 5 ingredients that only he got and the other 4 didn't. Edamame, nutmeg, quinoa, vadavan, and salmon. By the way, I wondered, do they allow curry if he said curry, or did he have to actually literally say vadavan, which is a variety of curry, I think. But like the fact that there were 5 ingredients that were gotten by only one chef and all 5 were him. 23 out of 20, it's astounding. It's really amazing. This guy, like, we should probably just ticket him for the finals this alone.
Is this Barry Bonds? Is this Ohtani?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just go over this. 23 for Manny, 15 dropped down to 15. She got fewer than 2/3 of what Manny got. Laura. Then Danny at 13, and then Savannah and Dan got 9 each.
You could add Danny and Dan together, and Manny would still beat him.
Yeah.
Danny got 13 and Dan got 9. So if you add the Daniels, they can't match up to Manuel. How about that?
I just think that, like, for all of his struggles, that is astounding. He's a genetic freak.
Now, there's nature and there's nurture, Kevin. So he might be a genetic freak. However, they are arguing that the tongue scraping is adding like a superpower to Manny, that he's arguing, I scrape my tongue and I clean my taste buds every morning, and therefore they're a little bit sharper because they don't have any kind of contaminants in there. Kevin, do you think that the tongue scraper is akin to having LASIK surgery if you're a baseball player?
Well, Tom, I'll have you know, I am a tongue scraper. I am a practitioner of tongue scraping. My own, not others. It's a thing I do.
Thank you for clarifying this.
All right, well, you know what? Maybe I'll have some people in my life do it's a good rainy Sunday afternoon. It doesn't rain here until like December, so I have a while to plan it. But like maybe it's time to kind of test this, because I, my friend, am a tongue scraper. It's very good for your breath.
And now apparently it's good for your taste buds too. It's like taking a little gummy before you go to a Fish concert. It just accentuates the senses when you go.
Maybe this is why I have food issues. Maybe this is why I eat like a linebacker. Basically, I'm eating on acid every day. That could very well be it. Either he's a genetic freak or we've all been missing the boat on tongue scraping. But it's freaky. It is absolutely freaky what he was able to do.
The hardest ones, and I think this is part of the whole alphabetical order thing, is that za'atar and XO sauce, which is 2 of the 3 final ingredients alphabetically, none of the folks got it.
Well, there's a reason, I think, for that, though. Like, they're not things themselves, right? Like, XO sauce is dried shrimp and dried scallops and some pork product. And, like, it's XO is actually a amalgamation of a lot of different things, right? Za'atar, same thing. Like, there's a little sesame in there. There's, like, a bunch of different herbs and whatnot. So like those are sort of not singular ingredients. They're basically a combination of things. But if you're doing the alphabetic thing, you could do zucchini. They could have done zucchini. And for X, I don't know. I think XO sauce is kind of your only hope there.
Yeah. The ones that were interesting that there was only one correct answer was edamame. I thought edamame and quinoa would have been, just as a texture thing, pretty easy to get. But then again, I'm sitting on my fat ass on the couch, and these are professional chefs, and they're still not getting it.
Edamame is really mild.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you don't know you're eating it, if you just think about like it doesn't really activate anything. I mean, it's a pretty mild. I mean, think about it. Like you actually have to kind of, there's got to be some butter and salt even to have. It's extremely mild food.
Yes.
And the texture, I guess, is indistinguishable from. We made fava beans last night. I mean, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
But it was impressive. I'm just going to say, like, we've been rough on Manny. He's been a little bit of a whipping boy on this show. And I got to tell you, so much respect.
Did you think it was interesting? Because it looked like Danny was going to throw up there when he found out that it was going to be a blind taste test. And I like the idea of like Danny is like, I'm really great in a technical chef. I have a lot of order in my life, and I have OCD. So the idea of having a sensory deprivation device where I have it blindfolded, and I didn't realize this, if you're OCD, the whole the dirtiness of going from one food to the next, it really upset him, and he did much better than I thought. If of all the people to have 9, I would have thought Danny was going to have 9, but he really showed out with 13 here, did much better than we expected, given that he was he looked like he was green up on the stage.
Yeah, I mean, the margin for him were tofu, okra, and jalapenos. Those are 3, and dill. Those are 4 that he got that the Niners didn't. So Savannah and Dan had 9. The additional 4 were represented really by those 4, which he got, but those behind him did not.
What you're looking at, Kevin, is the grid that I will post for paid subscribers at packyourknives.com. Go subscribe now, and I will get it ready for the subscribers.
Yes, please.
And have it up there for those who want to go and follow along and see what the grid of ingredients looks like for the season 21 blind taste test. Manny, I mean, we might as well call it the Manny competition from here on out.
They should name it after him, yeah. I'm in awe. It is a freak show. It was so impressive.
Listener, listen up. This is important, okay? I'm going to try to save you some money here. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. You may think oh, that's bad. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. Here's why I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for $15 a month. You heard that correctly. $15 per month. Ditch overpriced wireless and the jaw-dropping monthly bills. And of course, there are all these hidden fees and stuff, but at Mint Mobile, plans start at $15 per month. All the plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text. You're not doing weekend and nighttime minutes or anything like that. And it's delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone. Don't have to get a new phone. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all of your existing contacts. I switched months ago. People have asked, did you actually switch? Yes, I actually switched months ago, and I don't know what to do with all this extra money. I've cheated the system here. I've rigged something. This is an Ocean's 11 situation where I'm stealing wireless from Mint. That's how good a deal it is. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/dings. That's DINGS. That's mintmobile.com/dings. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 per month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
Hello, listener. It's Producer Maze here to talk to you about Quince and their cookware. Cooler nights mean cozy meals at home, and Quince's cookware has made fall cooking so much more enjoyable. Their pieces deliver the quality and performance of luxury brands, but at a price that makes sense. And they look gorgeous on the stovetop, too. No matter what item you need to complete your kitchen, Quince has you covered. With 5-ply stainless steel pots and pans, nonstick skillets, chef-quality knives, and even ceramic bakeware, which is perfect for cozy casseroles or Sunday roasts. And when you look at these prices, you might think, how is Quince doing this? How do they deliver high-quality items similar to high-end brands that are half the price? Well, let me tell you, they partner directly with ethical top-tier factories to cut out the middlemen and pass the savings on to you. And it's not just cookware. I got myself some bath sheets. That's right. When you're a tall man, you have to use bath sheets, not bath towels from Quince. It's like drying off with a cloud. It's incredible. Upgrade your kitchen for cozy fall meals with premium cookware from Quince. Go to quince.com/dings for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/dings, DINGS, to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dings. Hello, listener. It's Producer Maze here to talk to you about Kindred. Now, close your eyes like Owen Wilson during a job interview and imagine a way to travel that feels personal, comfortable, and connected without the price tags and the sterile feelings of hotels or short-term rentals. Now open your eyes and stop using your imagination because Kindred has made it very real. That's exactly what they do. Kindred is a members-only home swapping network. It's not a hotel. It's not a short-term rental. It's a smarter way to travel where each stay feels like home. Here's how it works. With Kindred, your home is your ticket. You earn credits by hosting fellow Kindred members, and then you use those credits to stay in over 220,000 homes in more than 100 cities worldwide. There are no hotel costs or rental fees, just the credits that you've earned. Every stay comes with white glove service, 24/7 trip support, and $100,000 in host protection. Make it easier for you to travel and enjoy yourself and not worry about details. I've used Kindred and I found an amazing home for a weekend getaway in an idyllic location with amazing views and great ambiance. It had everything I needed. And the best part was, it cost me $0. So apply now at livekindred.com and use code DINGS to join for free. Plus, you'll earn 5 nights of travel credit just for signing up. That's right, that's 5 whole nights for free at livekindred, KINDRED.com, code DINGS, DINGS, livekindred.com, code DINGS.
Let me ask you this now. So they go and they do this quick fire using your ingredients. You don't have to use all your ingredients. Kevin, I think we might have a little bit of what I'll call a Cheesecake Factory problem.
Yes.
I think there might be too many ingredients, and almost having like 9 ingredients would be better.
Yeah, I think it was one of those where it focused. I mean, think about Savannah. She's only got 5 ingredients. She does a very simple thing, does 2 sauces that work, and she gets out of there. Manny, I got 23 ingredients.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of all over the place. He's got a gooseberry relish with an edamame jalapeno puree. And because he has the salmon, is really the only person with salmon even eligible. He takes it, does the crudo, which turns out to be kind of a mistake. It doesn't impress the chefs. I mean, he doesn't do a lot with it. And he sort of walked into that by virtue of having it at his disposal. It's kind of one of those, if I have it, I've got to use it. It's such a valuable, I'm the only player that had it. Therefore, it offers me ostensibly an advantage is probably what he's thinking. And unfortunately, it didn't.
It didn't. And it wasn't as bad as Dan. So Dan Jacobs admittedly just falls on the sword and says, look, I presented the worst dish I've ever made in my life with this thing where he's all over the place. He's got the steak and eggs, but there was this stench about it that was disgusting, apparently.
Yeah, you think it might be a red wine, horseradish, and sour cream sauce?
Yeah, I think that would be it, Kevin.
I could be wrong, but it sounds revolting.
Yeah, it does. And you know, as you could see Tom just pulling things out of his mouth and putting the cracked eggshells off the plate, it just seemed like a disaster on a plate. And he admitted as much. It wasn't this, I thought I did a pretty good job. I was confident with my dish. No, he even said, I don't know how many times we've had this before, Kevin, in Top Chef history, where as he's bringing the dish out, he's shaking his head, like apologizing to the chefs at the judges' table, which appreciate that. I appreciate the transparency there. Danny with the steak, the anchovy, and horseradish gremolata. Laura with the mussels escabeche.
Well, but you're leaving out the pièce de résistance of the Danny plate. Was the watermelon A1 sauce.
Yeah.
That Tom loved. The watermelon gooseberry jus, which is kind of like genius. Summer's such a fun time to play around with like making your own barbecue sauces and steak sauces. It's really fun. I've been doing like peach ancho chili for duck and various other things. But like, I've never seen Tom, this is the happiest Tom Colicchio's been all season, is the watermelon A1 sauce. Wow. It's a new steak sauce. It's of Danny, finishes on near the top, but either second or third, depending on how you have the rankings. But wows Tom with watermelon gooseberry jus, or as Tom calls it, the watermelon A1 sauce.
Mm-hmm. Were you a A1 sauce proprietor, someone who liked the A1 sauce growing up?
Yeah. I have a confession. I love condiments, and the more processed the condiment, the better. Like, I think American condiments are great. Like, I like Heinz 57 too. Like, I always remember, like, because There's this great scene not in Primary Colors, the movie, but in the novel, where the James Carville character is sort of at a diner with the friends of Hillary, who are fancy pants Hollywood people. I think they're based on Linda Tomlinson. I forget who the old Hollywood hand is. And he's like, one of the themes of the book is like he's just constantly annoyed by like Hillary's like fancy friend, or the character who isn't Hillary but is Hillary, right? Because that's the book it is. And like, they go to a diner and he orders a steak and he kind of puts his A1 sauce or Heinz 57 or whatever it is, and she just kind of looks at him like, and he's like, that's why you'll never work in politics, because you don't understand that Americans like sauce on their steak. Americans like sauce on their steak. That's why you'll never understand American politics. Because like she's looking down on him, oh my God, he's putting like a condiment on a perfectly good steak, and he's just like, that's American. And that's why I am, and so the Carville character, and it's one of my favorite things. Is it's just like it is sort of a perfect distillation of sort of those two cultures, this like populist and these like fancy Hollywood types. So I am a man who likes his A1. I like my Heinz 57. I like my Chick-fil-A sauces. Tom, I even have in my house, and I can only get it at the Walmart, Arby's sauce.
Oh,
I don't even eat meat, but I love my Arby's barbecue sauce.
We have the sauces.
I also like Arby's horsey sauce.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to tell you, condiments are underrated. I'm as fancy pants as the next person, but I got to tell you, like, American condiments are glorious.
You count cocktail sauce with that?
Yeah, Heinz cocktail sauce, sure.
Yeah, I love a good horseradish. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's weird when you served a plate of fries and they don't have any sort of dressing on it or don't have any sort of dusting on it. It feels un-American to just eat fries without a sauce, some sort of dipping sauce, whether it's mayo or ketchup or mustard. Yeah, I'm with you. And having oysters without like a mignonette sauce or a mignonette little cup.
Now, I am a purist on oysters, Tom. I am a purist on oysters.
Ooh.
Oysters get no sauce.
No sauce on the oysters?
Not on a raw oyster. I want to taste the ocean.
Okay.
And only the ocean.
Okay.
I mean, I appreciate a good, like, fancy mignonette that's creative, a little yuzu action. Yeah. But, like, by and large, I think I'm pretty pure about the oyster situation.
Well, Kevin, Manny got the $5,000 for the beginning of the quickfire. He got a tough shake there in the elimination challenge. Savannah gets $10,000 for her winning dish, which was this fried pork loin with like it looked awesome. And Tom Colicchio said that should be on a menu somewhere. That's how good it was.
Now, so Laura gets screwed because she finishes a strong second in the quickfire. Because I would say Danny came in third because I noticed that our good friend Gail Simmons gave a little, even though he was on top, gave a little like dive that she wishes she could have, a little dig. She wishes she could have tasted the flavors a little more. So Laura finishes a strong second in the cooking. Well, no one's a strong second because Manny blew out the competition, but finishes, a solid second in the taste test, but gets nothing.
Part one. Yep.
Nothing. She gets nothing. But her mussels escabeche was very well liked with the umibashi, onion, gooseberry, watermelon. And by the way, worth noting, she's cooking her ass off, Tom.
She is. She deserves to be in the Final Four. She deserves to be in the finale. I was actually really glad to see her move on and don't think I would have been there 3 weeks ago. So she's really won me over. And she, on this one, the elimination challenge, she has a little bit of Danny as well, where she doesn't seem like she's sweating at all when she cooks. She knows what she's doing. She's doing very different dishes than the rest of the group, culinary wise. Like the cuisine is very different. And I find that they have the little, like the note on the screen about what dish she's making or the type of dish she's making for her more than just anybody else on the show. So she's doing inventive dishes, not typically seen on the show. And she's never really stressed about it.
The elimination challenge is one of those open-ended ones that I really like, which is just tell the story of your growth. Tell the story of your growth. Like, create a dish that embodies sort of your trajectory, your growth as a chef over the course of your season in Milwaukee and Wisconsin for season 21. And that's it. And I will say that it's very interesting. They're not screwing around. Sometimes that means just do your own thing and reverse engineer a narrative that works. No, they want a story that is coherent. And it is very clear when they get to the table and we start listening to the judges, like they're listening and they are counting. And it definitely pays off. Now, there's another interesting discussion, which is, does the natural and organic existence and understanding of one story actually prompt the chefs to make better food, right? And I think I get the sense that Kristen Kish would say absolutely. I'm sort of somewhere in the middle. Like there's this funny moment when Tom Colicchio is riding around in the car and it's like, oh, what would you do? And they're discussing what would they do. And he's like, I'm making my dish I want to make and then calling it a story. It's like, we're talking, it gives away the game a little bit. Like, but actually, when you get down to it, they took the narrative very, very seriously. The chefs that came in with narratives that didn't really fly or didn't make coherent sense were penalized.
100%. Manny, you want to start with him?
Let's start with Manny. He's very excited because he's finally going to do his sort of fish Veracruz style. And Veracruz sauce is typically tomato with some olives. It's kind of a Spanishy sauce, but is tomato-based. And it is, you can go to a lot of sort of coastal Mexican cuisine, particularly in the Veracruz area. This is the mother sauce. And he's been wanting to make it. He has been threatening to make it. And by God, he is going to make it this week.
And it flops.
Yes.
In 2 levels. The fish, got to cook the protein well. He bragged about it earlier in the show. I can do this dish in my sleep. I wanted to do it earlier. I can do it in my sleep. And the cook did not go well. But secondly, Kevin, the story didn't go well either. And of course, we go to our top chefologist here, Savannah, picking up on that immediately. When she asked him about the dish and the story, she hears it and she goes, I don't hear anything about growth there. And she was right. It didn't make any sense.
She had another interesting quote. His theme was doing something that feels comfortable. And that was a Savannah quote, right? That's what he's doing. Like my theme. Now, part of the problem, unfortunately for Manny, is the fundamental problem of his story is that his best cooking was early in the season. So, for the chefs like Savannah, and you could argue Laura, and even Danny and, who've had an upward trajectory and have built momentum and confidence, Mandy's a guy where it's hard to tell the story because the story is he started out very hot and he hasn't made a winning dish since, I think, very early in the season. So that is a fundamental problem. You got to make something else up. What basically this is I made, as Savannah said, doing something that feels comfortable. That's the theme. That is his, that's just not going to impress the chefs. It almost feels like, look, these are people who are the guardians of Top Chef. And if the implicit message of your story is basically I'm doing something from home, is basically that implication is there's nothing here I really learned.
Exactly.
This is a dish I brought from home. I'm making it. And you can say, oh, I've refined who I am and this is who I am. And therefore the refinement is the story. But the truth of the matter is, Tom, as you said, he botched the protein in a final 5. He said it himself in the testimonial. That was the problem. I'm curious what happened, and what he seemed to suggest is that the pans were very hot. Some of the flesh got kind of over-seared, and fearful that it was going to be over, he decided to bake where it could be more in control. I don't know. That table wasn't that big, Tom.
Yeah.
I feel like you got to make those portions to order on the pan. I don't think you're baking that fish. This ain't a group of 20. This ain't even a group of 15. I think there were 9, 10 people at that table? 8, 9, 10?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You're doing 60 ounces of fish, man. You're doing less than 4 pounds of fish. Get that on the stove. Pan sear that. Come on. You're leaving it to ovens that you've never worked with? I got to tell you got to do that. Hell, man, I have 8 people over here I'll do fish to order. And I don't know, I'm a home intermediate, man. That was sort of my thing, is it kind of wrapped up the Manny season. You come time to cook for the finale, and he's hustling fish don't bake that thing. Get it done on the pan, man.
Yeah. Panny Manny, just do it on the pan.
Do it on the pan.
Yeah, get it on the pan. And you know what? For Manny, I'll tell you what, here's the story you got to tell. Guys, going to be honest with you. I haven't had my best run over the last few weeks, and I need to get back to basics. I need to get back to home. And in order to find myself and to really grow, I need to go back home and bring you what I identify with as a chef. And that's going back to Veracruzana, Pescado Veracruzana. And I want to go back, just kind of, Kevin, the NBA player who's in a shooting slump and then pulls his dad aside and is like, let's go shoot hoops. I need to go back home. I need to get back to my roots and kind of reset. Manny should have had that reset story, is being honest, candid, transparent, and self-deprecating a little bit. Get up there and say, look, gotta be honest, haven't had much growth at all in the last few weeks. And what I've learned, I gotta get back to my roots. And here it is, my favorite dish that I make from home. And that would have been a great story.
Yep.
That would have been humbling. It would have explained to the judges that you get it. You're not trying to craft a story about growth when the growth isn't there. And I think they would have appreciated that.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta sell a little bit. You're absolutely right, Tom. Like, even if you don't have a story that's compelling, pretend like you do. Hey, I love that, Tom. I love that. Hey, you know what? I've been off my game. Everybody up here knows it. So I'm going back to my roots. This is about, and this is who, and even if you just give that spiel, I think they're more welcoming. But again, not going to make up for a raw piece of fish. It's just not.
Which isn't that bad. Of all the things you can make raw, present on the dish, a raw red snapper is not the worst thing in the world.
What's very funny, Tom, is Paul Bartolotta, who was essentially the host, and actually they did that intermediate dinner, the sort of last dinner in Milwaukee at his place in Wauwatosa, restaurant Bartolotta.
Yeah.
Because he had a well-cooked piece, he comes out of the box when it's time to talk about Manny's dish raving, right? And then you have the pictures that you captured of Tom Colicchio being like, I don't know what you ate, man. Like, you were at a different freaking table. But like, that's sort of the iron and the sad truth is that they actually nailed. It seems like of those 10 or however many people, 3 or 4 of them had a pretty decent meal, although it was safe.
Yeah, and the inconsistency. Normally in a vacuum, you might give points and be like, actually 4 out of the 10 were cooked perfectly. But that also shows that this wasn't a good cook, right? That this wasn't there's something went wrong in the kitchen. I couldn't remember. Did Manny seem like he was surprised by that? Or did he know that some of the fish he put out was raw?
It looked as if he was well aware of it and was kind of hoping that perhaps a majority at the table would be enough to sustain that this was a good meal, or for the very least, maybe he doesn't go home, but he's on the bottom. But I mean, unfortunately, one of those 3 people were Tom. And it'd be very interesting. By the way, I also wanted to give a shout out to one of the guests I've been so fortunate to be the recipient of Malunka hospitality at Three Brothers Restaurant in Milwaukee on numerous occasions. She is one of the most delightful people. It is truly one of the great American stories. I think they got a Beard Heritage Award in the last few years for Three Brothers cuisine. And one of my only disappointments with this season, there are a few, but one of my big ones is that there was never actually they never filmed at Three Brothers in Milwaukee. We never got a Three Brothers challenge. We never got food from the Balkans, big community in Milwaukee. And that restaurant is just among just the great, Serbian restaurants in America. But she was included as part of the kind of finale dinner of the Great Milwaukee Chef's Table. And my understanding is the show did eat there frequently, especially Kristen and Tom and Gail, that they were able to do that. And I think they actually had one of the kind of parties there. But the restaurant didn't make it on the actual show, which is disappointing just because I want them to do well. And they are one of these family businesses that really, they put everything into it. But it was very cool to see Malunka there. And she is amazing. And if you go to Milwaukee, you have got to book a table at Three Brothers Restaurant. It is just one of the, we won't have these places in another 50 or 60 years, right? I mean, and it's just, and I was hoping we would have a little more of Three Brothers love, but anyway, but it was good to see her at the table.
Yeah, good to see her. We got some good commentary, but nothing compares to the Looney Tunes reaction of Tom Colicchio when it's just his eyes popping out of his head, making the little like yeesh face when he was describing his dish.
You might have to make a tri-panel of that for our Substack. I don't know if you're able to, but that might have to kind of be the art for this week or something, or for next week at least.
I'll try to make that happen. It was truly one of the great, and the way he takes his glasses off or puts them back on, he was in his element. And I'm glad we got to see Happy Tom for a little bit of this episode because he's been especially curmudgeon-y this season. But you know what? Let's move over here from Manny, and we'll talk about the judges table. But let's talk about Danny here because Danny got another reaction from Tom. Tom was like, are you kidding me with this subtlety? You thought this was subtle? And he was just aghast at the decision here to describe the dish as subtle. And I'm wondering, Kevin, does this change your calculus about Danny? It didn't have a great quick fire. And then here he's also stumbling with, it doesn't seem like it's a bad cook. It's more of a bad description or maybe a taste. I don't know what you would describe it as. He just missed the mark on the description of the dish.
I mean, this is kind of my thing about Danny. And I say this with absolute admiration. He's not a narrative chef. He's not here to tell stories. He is here to elevate culinary technique to an art form. Okay? And he does it with great concepts and just apparently great tasting food. I mean, when you look at the chef's reaction when he just nails a disc, whether it's the, scalloped truffle. There've been a bunch of them this particular season. His stuff is creative. It is stuff you never would have thought to do or even thought was doable. And I think he's not someone, we've talked about Michelle Wallace and this is a distant cousin of maybe kind of her thing, which is, he is going to create art and it is going to be abstract art. And it's sort of like telling you to say, that Ellsworth Kelly expressionist painting. What story does it tell? I mean, you can make up some stuff. Mm-hmm. You can go art student and art history student and BS your way through some sort of narrative assessment of it, but it's more spatial and it's more abstract. And that's what he does. So I actually think this was a bad challenge for him. You would think it'd be the perfect challenge for him because, he could just do his thing. And he could probably have done a better job of reverse engineering a story and the word subtlety. If he just comes and says, Tom, you were good at the last one, sort of saying, hey, this is what Manny should have said. I mean, I'm kind of trying to think of a story for Manny, or rather for Danny rather. And I don't know. I mean, the tea redemption would have been fun. And maybe he just does this lovely tea broth.
Yes.
As Kristen suggested, maybe just kind of highlight the tea broth and do a, duck tea. I've seen tea smoked duck. I've seen in Asian restaurants. Maybe he does something like that and just says, hey, I'm kind of nodding. I mean, the guy only had one or couple of real errors in the entire season worth of elimination challenges. So, there's not a lot. He could it almost reminds the judges that I don't screw up too much. The one time I did, it was serving you buckwheat tea. So here I did this tea smoked duck. That's my screw up. My journey is I'm OCD and I'm leaving perfectionism at home now. And I'm going to learn to live with my losses and blah, blah, blah. And they eat it up. And that's what should have happened, right?
I think the dish was good. The dish was good. It's just he couldn't get the narrative part.
Tom called it a good miss.
Yeah.
He called it a good miss. Now, some said there was a little salty and that it was unfocused, and I don't know. But I just think he should have just cooked his food, and he kind of did. But I think it's kind of the problem you identified with the Manny. He just needed a different pitch. But I also think that there's just he's not a narrative chef. It's not that his food doesn't tell a story. You don't need every dish to tell you. Some dishes tell stories, and some dishes are, something else. And I don't. It's not all. Anyway, that's sort of my thing with Danny. I kind of feel for him on this one.
Yeah, I hear you.
Big news. Sephora is now on Uber Eats. So if you find yourself facing a beauty emergency, like needing a last-minute gift, or you're just out of your favorite mascara, again, don't panic. We got you. Order now and get $10 off on Sephora orders of $50 or more on the Uber Eats app. Order now. Offer ends October 30th. One order per customer. Additional terms apply. See app for availability. Delivery fees may apply.
Experience a membership that backs what you're building with American Express Business Platinum. Enjoy complimentary access to the American Express Global Lounge Collection and a welcome offer of 200,000 points after you spend $20,000 on purchases on the card within your first 3 months of membership. American Express Business Platinum. There's nothing like it. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum.
Dan, I thought, would be really good at this because he does have an amazing story with the Kennedy's disease and being the Milwaukee chef. I feel like there's a lot of room there for him to tell a story there on, just the overcoming obstacles or being the hometown chef or, the walleye dish. The critique from Kristen really landed with me, which is you nailed the walleye dish before. So why would you try to recreate it and then say you grew from that? It didn't make much sense. And I felt like I was rooting for Dan to, hit a couple different notes. And maybe those would have been safe or like, maybe been too easy of a narrative to tell. But his default story wasn't all that compelling. And Kristen called him out, was just like, I kind of felt like you missed the story there, and the food was a smoke bomb. And myself, Kevin, I love a good smoke. I love mezcal. I like a smoked old fashioned. I love smoking meats. I don't smoke cigars or cigarettes, but when I'm around it, I do like a little bit of that smell of just like, ooh, yeah, I like that. I love campfire smoke. You know what I love, Kevin? I like the smell of a blown out candle. That smoke that you smell from the candle being extinguished. Mm-hmm. I love smoke, but sometimes there's too much. And there's too much surface area on that gnocchi and that walleye that it just was a smoke bomb.
And even like watching him prep it, it looked like he was preparing for one of the food fair challenges where you're like serving 50, right? He's cutting up this, this fish into little bits, as if he's going to put them in those little paper bowls that they hand out. Like it looked like almost the fish boil or the cheese fair. Like it didn't seem like, I think this was a night for composed dishes. And I think that was also kind of part of the problem. They're also like, they've seen it before. And your point exactly, and Kristen's point, which is, no. The whole idea of redemption is you take a dish you botched and do it right this time, not take a dish you aced, in which case the best you're going to do is equal your previous success, and the worst you're going to do is actually demonstrate that you haven't grown, that actually this is the lesser version of the better dish. And it was just a weird decision.
What if you did like a steak with a cured egg? Something where he was improving on the quickfire and the growth from the quickfire that he missed. Then he could do a narrative on that. Is like, I served my worst dish. Here's my best dish. Boom.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I think he and Manny kind of had similar problems, right? He went to something very comfortable, right? Like, I love doing Asian flavors and I like using kind of local produce, and that's what I did, right? But he didn't really have a story. I think he just kind of cramped up. I mean, I just saw a guy who just didn't, and it's funny because he's really generative in his ideas, but like this just seemed like he had an off day. I mean, he had an off day from the smell test on down, and it didn't seem like it was all that good. And also it kind of, it's stuff that they've also seen from him. Mm-hmm. Whereas now Laura is just kind of doing, boy, I got to tell you, I mean, let's talk about Laura again. I mean, Tom, it's so interesting. Sometimes a team gets hot at the right time. Like we see this in baseball a lot. The wild card teams, some of those recent Phillies teams, the Nationals a few years ago. I remember that Giants World Series team in 2014. Like they win the wild card game, and then they win the wild card round, and then they win the division. And it's like, and they're looking up. It's like, wait, this team won 85 games. They're not even that good. But they got hot at the right time. Laura, Tom, is getting hot at the right time. She's bagging top finishes and wins, and she's getting hot at the right time, and she's actually the person who's demonstrating the real growth along with Savannah, right? Like she knows what she was the one person who entered this challenge, Tom, and said, I have a flaw in this game, which is I try to do too much. You know what my story is going to be? I ain't going to do the thing that I do that screws me up. It's a great story. I'm not going to do the thing that I do that screws me up. The chefs and the judges love that stuff. They love self-awareness that leads to self-actualization. And that is what she did. And it worked.
Oh, I'm dreaming of that dish.
That is such a you dish.
The lamb dumplings / ravioli, whatever you want to call it, they were so beautiful and precious. And then you have the barbacoa sauce with the little like dip on the side. Kevin, I would order that 11 times out of 10 if I saw that on a menu. Oh my God.
Really impressive. Because, it demonstrated technique. It demonstrated restraint. Manti is kind of a dumplings from sort of the Ottoman sphere, the Caucasus. She does this guajillo chili sauce. Lovely smoky guajillo. I mean, it's a great pepper to work with. It's kind of right there, mild, medium. Scale back and focus. Less is more. It just was such an impressive effort. In some ways, I was kind of rooting for her. And we'll talk about Savannah in a second. I mean, I'm rooting for Savannah. Who doesn't root for Savannah? But I was sort of the opinion that, like, wait, she's doing like a lamb pasta that combines Ottoman, Turkish, Armenian, whatever you want, with sort of her like a little dollop of her mainland Mexican with a guajillo chili sauce. And Savannah's doing a potato pave as an entree. Like, what are you doing? Like, I thought she was insane, Tom. Insane to do a potato. Like, she's going to do it. Because I kind of had already anticipated Savannah doing potato pave. I was already anticipating the judges' table being like, what? It's a nice pave, but as an entree, that's the star of the show here. Like, I was anticipating absolute sort of like, But pave requires a great deal of technique. And look, we saw this week, Tom, at the end of the day, it's why I still like Danny for the finale and to win this whole thing is, boy, those three folks, Gail, Kristen, and Tom, they love them some showing off some technique with a little bit of narrative. They love them a technical win. And that was a technical win. A pave in 3 hours with the chicken reduction, kind of chicken sauce reduction. She then put a little cherry relish, trusting myself in finding flavors. And boy, did Kristen eat up once you add heat and pressure, that's what a pave is, heat and pressure. She could have made a hash brown. And had she said heat and bread, like she had such a great, like we're writers, Tom, like we are constantly just trying to frame. I mean, that's what we do for a living. We frame stories. We find themes in metaphors where you wouldn't otherwise find them. And that's what you want to do, right? And man, did she, like, as just somebody who does this, I was just like, bravo, golf clap all the way on the television this afternoon, like watching this thing. Like, that was it. I was just like, it was truly a narrative stroke of wizardry.
It was masterclass. What she did in this episode was masterclass. And I feel bad for Laura because that's a winning dish right there. There wasn't a mistake on that dish for Laura. And here comes Savannah that just goes way over the top with the gutsy, I think it was, as Kristen called it there, doing the pave that usually takes overnight. And she did it in 3 hours. So points for that. Then points for the actual story that she described, which was, I was locked in when she said that. And it was right off the bat. She was the first one to do it. And I was like, oh my, if any of these are half as good as the narrative that she just described, we're in for a hell of an elimination challenge. And then it tasted amazing. So not only did she pull it off, the cook, it tasted amazing and it was beautiful and the story was beautiful. Savannah is a force, Kevin, a force. She went the first 8 episodes with 0 wins in either the quickfire or the elimination challenge. And she said it. I've got more wins this season than anybody, more wins in Milwaukee than anybody. And through 8 episodes, she had 0. Zilch. Nada to her name. And here she is in the finale. And I think, or in the final 4, I think she might be the favorite. She has been so good recently, finding herself, and the confidence is there. The story is there. I think she has, look, the actual standings, I'm not sure exactly what she meant by have more wins than anybody because Danny's got 3 elimination challenge wins to her 2. She has 3 quickfire wins to Danny's 2. So combined, they each have 5 wins. Dan has 2 elimination challenges, no quickfires, and Laura has 2, 1 of each elimination challenge and quickfires up to this point. But all 5 of those victories are coming recently. So it is an incredible run. She's hot at the right time, like you said. Reminds me of the Dallas Mavericks right now in the NBA Finals, where they tanked last season. They didn't even make the playoffs. They got a bunch of trades at the deadline. They were the hottest team going into the playoffs, and then they rambled off 3 straight series wins against 50-win juggernauts in the Western Conference. And here they are going against the Boston Celtics, who have the best net rating in NBA history, the best team in the history of the NBA. And you know what? A lot of people are picking Dallas to win it all, and I kind of feel like a lot of people are going to be looking at Savannah recently and saying, that right there, that is the Top Chef.
Yeah, I mean, and if you take out really the her injury and the absolute disaster that was restaurant, or rather the fish boil for her, she got a lot of high. I mean, she really hasn't cooked anything other. She's been on top pretty much other than that 1 week. Straight through, even going back to the scallop chawanmushi in Restaurant Wars. I mean, the mushrooms were a little dissonant, but like she has been just cooking. It's not just the wins. High finish. She had a little slip up in the week before that. High win, fish boil. You got to give her a break. The quick fire wins consistently, and she is again. They're Adrian vibes. Chef Adrian, who finished second in I believe it was season 15.
Joe Flam season, yeah.
Building confidence and building momentum. And it really has been a confidence build. It's not just that she got hot. Laura's gotten hot at the right time. And I think Laura's is a product of confidence, obviously, to some degree. Anytime you get hot, it is a manifestation of confidence. Oftentimes, sometimes randomness. But with Savannah, it is confidence. And it's very interesting. It's going to be, and she has technique. And that's sort of the thing, too, is that she does have enough technical. I mean, look, Danny blows everybody out in the water in that thing, but she might have stories to tell. Right. And she seems to be particularly good at assembling themes, at understanding the challenge, understanding how to frame and sell and conceive a dish in relation to what the chefs, or the judges are looking for. That is a gift. It is important in this competition. You know, that was one thing Buddha did very well. For all of his technical wizardry, you know, we can talk about Buddha and we often do. And yeah, he was in that respect, he was just a genius. He also kind of knew the story to tell the judges when he put down that plate. He was as good as he is as a technique. He was as good at that. And that also explains his dominance.
Danny for Savannah.
Oh, now that's interesting. I mean, I'll have to put that I don't have to put anything to the board now, right? Because I don't know.
Danny for Savannah.
You're offering me Danny or Savannah. Deal.
Done. I finally get her.
I'll take Danny. Your recency bias.
Maze, the commissioner, is responding in the chat. You're crazy, Tom.
I'll take it.
I swing for the fences in the finale time. Last year, I traded a pick to get Gabri so I could load up on contestants in the finale. Didn't win, but I'm going to take another swing here. It's risky. Savannah I might be victim to the recency bias, like you said. So
I think you might be. But look, hey, I'm humble enough to know. First of all, I believe in Savannah. Anything can happen. You know, who knows? Curacao. You don't know. I mean, they gotta go on that stupid boat. I can't believe they're consigning those poor people to a boat. If I worked my whole life to get on Top Chef and they put me on a boat, on a cruise ship, are they going to be with other people? Or now, if it's one of those nice ones, like where it's like only 20 people and you get the yacht, now it's different. But if they're going on like a celebrity, like one of those big things that left from remember the dock across from the arena in Miami, all those crazy.
Yes, I went on one on the Carnival cruise to Key West and Cozumel, which was a lovely weekend over All-Star weekend with my wife. We were 25 years old. What do we know? And Maze is now saying I am trading Joe Burrow for Brock Purdy.
I don't know what that means.
This means I'm trading basically LeBron for Boobie Gibson. I don't know. This is a harsh critique from Anthony Maze.
Now, Maze, is he one of these? Because I know that Purdy there's very polarizing opinions, I'm told, in San Francisco. Either you're a Purdy person or you think he's the second coming of, you're all in on Purdy.
All right, so Purdy.
So Maze is saying he's all in on Purdy, but he'd take Burr. Okay, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You love the guy, but.
Just to clarify here, for Tom and Kevin and the non-sports fans in the audience, Brock Purdy was the last pick in the NFL draft. Joe Burrow was the first pick. Tom took Danny with his first pick. Kevin took Savannah with his last pick. This is purely a pedigree, a value evaluation. For a food-related analogy or a Top Chef-related analogy, it's comparative to the meat draft where ribeye went first and Spam went last. But like in that episode, the Spam dish might have been the best dish. So let's see what Tom has to say for himself.
Here's why I made that trade right there. Have you noticed that Savannah is a student of Top Chef?
Yes.
I have full confidence that in this 3-week break or whatever it is, she is going to the Buddha school of Top Chef. I am guessing she is going to study. She's going to look up the Caribbean food, Caribbean cuisine. She's going to be binge watching all of the Top Chef finales, taking notes. She might even have Buddha Low on speed dial. I don't know, but I'm guessing that she is going to be doing a crash course in Top Chefology, and I have full confidence that she's already drafted a final menu, and she's got this in the bag. She's figured it out. I know I don't get the points. I don't get the points that Team Kevin has accrued this entire season. And so I'm counting my winnings with Danny. He's had a great season for me, and I'm trading for someone that I believe has room to grow. I feel like she's going to study. She is going to become an expert, and I have full confidence that whatever gap she might have on the technical side with Danny, I think she's going to make up with a lot more skill here in the break.
Whereas I am trading for someone who literally had not been on the bottom until this week, which wasn't even really a bottom.
Okay.
He was the middle third of 5, and all because he couldn't really make up a stupid story to attach to a dish that was otherwise liked for the most part, not loved. I am trading for a guy who literally has not been on the bottom. like has not been on the bottom, who phones in quickfires. Granted, he does phone in a quickfire. Nobody phones in a quickfire like Danny. Danny's like kind of the old LeBron Cavs. He like, yeah, we're going to phone it in the he's the guy who phones in the regular season.
No,
I love his sheer indifference to quickfires is kind of actually part of his charm as a contestant.
You think he's load managing during the quickfire?
I just don't think he cares.
Okay.
Like, I think he wants to win. And now I think he cared enough in recent weeks, possibly, to make sure he's not going to like, hey, I end up on the bottom. Although, look, he finished, the last couple of weeks prior to this week, he was on the bottom of quickfire for a couple times. So maybe, I don't know. But like, I just don't think he cares that much about quickfires.
The storytelling is part of it. Buddha's really good at storytelling. Buddha's really good. And that's one thing that Danny doesn't have that I've been a little bit worried recently is that you do have to have story. And when you do your final meal, it does have to follow some sort of theme or there's one challenge before the finale that I feel like Buddha had, Sarah Bradley had, Joe Flam had. They could tell a story. And so I know Savannah's got it. She just told basically a Hemingway story here in the final elimination challenge here before they go to the finale. There's I don't know, the energy and the enthusiasm about Savannah is magnetic. I'm all about it. I've got Laura. You have Dan and Danny going into the finale on your squad. I think you feel pretty good about that. So Kevin, we're going to put it to our subscribers we're going to put a poll on the site and we're going to see how people feel about this trade. Did Team Kevin win by receiving Danny ahead of the finale, or did Tom just strike rich and get even more? Right now I have a lead. I have a lead in the fantasy scoring. The score as of now is 163 to 133, but I might have been the 2016 Warriors, and I might be blowing a 3-1 lead here in the finals. I don't know.
We shall see, but I like the deal. I mean, I like that I get Danny going in, and I have nothing but respect for Savannah, but I do think it moves in the finale to a different kind of competition. I do think it is going to favor Danny's skills. This is still a technical competition for all of the wonderful storytelling and the characters that emerge on this show. And everybody wants to cook from their heart. And by the way, to act as if Danny doesn't cook from his heart that is a lifetime of learning and sweat equity. I mean, the guy is cooking from his heart. But it is a technical competition as they get down to the finale. And I do believe that he is the best technical chef in the competition. And more times than not, that is who wins Top Chef.
Okay.
Closing thoughts, Tom.
Yes, I have a closing thought here. I did a little sleuthing on the next episode, which we're going to see Edward Lee from Louisville, Kentucky, former Top Chef contestant.
Nice.
610 Magnolia, one of my favorite meals in Louisville. So, Kevin, the Eurodam cruise, that is what I saw on the side of the ship. The boat, as you call it, Holland America. The Eurodam cruise ship is Holland America's line's first signature class cruise ship, recently receiving many exciting updates and upgrades.
God, that thing looks like a wedding cake from hell. Look at that. Oh, God.
It's got 929 people.
Can you imagine being trapped on that thing with all those children and the jockeying for the pool chairs in the morning where man, it gets to be a blood sport and people put their oh God. And like, where do you go if you want away from everybody? Do you jump off?
Does a beach resort not have any jockeying for poolside or beachside chairs?
No, but a beach resort is such that I can jump the fence at a beach resort. I mean, God forbid I end up at an all-inclusive place, but I understand people have family, whatever. So, but number one, you can jump the fence. You can always jump the fence at a beach resort. Number two, you can walk down the shore and like you get away from the blood sport that is reserving a chair. Yes, what I want to do is look like I'm in a Costco parking lot of lounges, like where you're just like you went all the way to this beautiful locale and you end up like arm to arm, like in a row of 100 people fighting over the pool chair space. Where are you supposed to go? There's nowhere to go to be by yourself except those little rooms where you end up in a shoebox.
Carnival Cruises. Mickey Harrison, if you're listening, you can sponsor our show. I'd be happily take some Carnival dollars or a trip on Holland, whatever it is. And Kevin, you can stay home. That's fine. I will happily sleep and then end up in a new city. That sounds great.
Oy.
Yeah, I'm sorry I brought that up, Kevin.
And meanwhile, what is, again, I do question. I mean, like Curaçao's an interesting destination. I imagine there's some wonderful foodways, but I mean, the Dutch, what did they bring? Trinidad and Tobago would be a good one. That would be a good, if you're going to do the Caribbean finale, I like Trinidad and Tobago. You got the real South Asian influence there, the roti. Like that would have do the power rankings of Caribbean islands for a finale. I would definitely put Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica up there. Those would be my first two in terms of, and I bet Amar, in deference to Amar, I think that there should be a Top Chef finale in a Dominican resort or a Dominican cruise, and Amar should be a guest host.
Vamonos. Let's go. And Kevin, my final thought. Yeah, Savannah has grown up a lot on this show, and she cooked with growth in that elimination challenge. But there is still room to grow. You are Top Chef, Savannah. Soon you will be Top Chef. I'm very excited. Team Tom has acquired Savannah Miller from Durham, North Carolina. I'm going to the U.S. Open in Moore County at Pinehurst, North Carolina, the cradle of American golf. And I will be for sure going to Southern Pines, the old stomping grounds of Savannah Miller, with pride, because I now have her on my fantasy team. Welcome to the squad, Savannah.
For Tom Haberstroh, for producer Anthony Mays, this is Kevin Arnovitz, and this is Pack Your Knives.